Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. What the fuck is going on with my hair? I look a bit cracked out. Is my body tea? No. Nightmare. I wanted to talk today about imposter syndrome. Wow, she's so unique. Who else has imposter syndrome in the world but me? Who else has ever spoken about it before? No one in a way that mattered. It doesn't matter unless I'm talking about it. I've suffered with imposter syndrome my whole life. I did not know what it was until I think my mid-20s. When I heard the term imposter syndrome, I thought it was like phantom limb syndrome, where you thought there was two of you. I look insane. Let me speak about some of the ways that I suffer with it. Suffer. I don't suffer, I just have it. Obviously, once again, I'll say this. I am a woman in a male-dominated field, and it's a man's world. How small my hands look. So I have had this issue. I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it's because I'm from a shithole town where no one does anything or amounts to anything. And I was kind of brought up a little bit in a way where it's like, being happy is a luxury. Put your head down and get on with it. I grew up in a way that I don't really think is conducive to the most I can do anything of it all. Okay? But I do believe that about myself to a degree. Do I? Is this recording? Yeah. I personally have a huge issue with men in positions of authority. A man who has any kind of authority tells me anything and I'm like, that must be true. I fear I've lost it. I don't think I'm very funny. No, don't be ridiculous. Anyway, imposter syndrome. What's it all about? Always thought it was just kind of around me tattooing. The problem I have is it's around everything I do. From the way that I look, the way that I speak, the way that I act, the things that I enjoy, and the things that I do. Isn't that fun? I think mine is kind of exacerbated by the fact that I'm in such a male-dominated field. I grew up being a gamer. Did you know that about me? I grew up playing WoW, World of Warcraft. Ever heard of her? So I was very aware that like, this is a man's world. Get rid of imposter syndrome. How? I'm huge on exposure therapy so much in my life that as like, at some point I found like debilitating or the very thought of something is terrifying to me. And then I do it or it's forced upon me. And it either sucks and I get through it and then I know how to deal with it if it happens again, or it happens and it's actually not that bad. And then it's like, oh, it's time to take the power back. You know what I mean? Like you take its power away, you don't even worry about it. So much in my life has happened to me that at one point I would have been like, it's happened and I'm still here. I've got the most busted hair you've ever seen, but I'm here. Very Trump-esque hand that was. I don't know if what causes it is growing up in a home where always kind of instilled into me that happiness is a luxury. Keep your head down, work hard, get by. Keep calm and carry on type beat. And I think there was a year-long period when I lived with my cousin she's a fucking piece of work and we don't speak anymore. We don't talk anymore. The one thing I'll always credit her for is she has unparalleled level of delusion. She was my Tyler catastrophe and would also share that with me. So I moved in with my cousin when I was 21, and I was working in hospitality. I was miserable. I was desperate to do something with my life. Again, I felt I had this well of untapped potential. I didn't know what to do with it. I was very, very stifled as a girl. Stifled! And would continue to be as a woman. And I grew up with a very, very difficult older brother. And it was very much, she'll make less of a fuss if we upset her, so let's upset her to keep him happy. Here's an anecdote. It's a tiny story, but I feel it holds true for basically what my childhood was like. It was my birthday. And we were allowed to pick the music we listened to in the car on my birthday. And I wanted to listen to something I don't remember. And my brother was fuming about it. Screaming, crying, pissing, shitting, throwing up. Before that was cool. And my parents were like, oh, just put on what he wants. And so they did, because he would then be quiet and I wouldn't kick up a fuss. Don't do that. What the fuck point was I making? I was living with my cousin and I was working 7 a.m. till like 3 or 4 p.m. every day. And I was just miserable. People there treat me like shit. I hated my job. Hated my life. I had no friends, just her. She had her own friends. She would go out, not invite me. She would say she was going to the shop and come back the next day. She was very strange girl. Anyway, I remember I was dating a tattooer. Do you want my advice? Never date a tattooer, and definitely don't marry one. I was dating a tattooer. That's strike one. And he turned out to be not a good guy. You can't make this shit up. When the brief time we dated, and he was just like a street shop tattooer in like Derby or somewhere, and I was working in a cafe in Liverpool, and the stark contrast in our quality of life really resonated with me. And I remember when it ended with us, me thinking, this guy's a fucking piece of shit, and his life is so much better than mine. If he can do that, I can fucking do it. And at this point, I'd already, I got my first tattoo the day I turned 18. It was this one on my arm here. Mary Magdalene, Crying in a Frame, by Jordan Croak. Very talented tattooer. You might say my tattoo career was founded out of spite. I'm not going to argue with you on that. So I said to my cousin, I want to be a tattooer. She's like, you can do it. So I would work in the cafe every day from 7 to 3. I would come home to my shithole of an apartment because my cousin is disgusting and refuses to do anything around the house. She doesn't work, by the way. She has a baby, which is obviously work, but she doesn't have a job outside the house, so the least she could do is maybe take a bin out, clean some dishes with a dishwasher. No, I would come home, put the baby on my hip, unload the dishwasher, empty the bin, do all that shite. Then I'd usually fall asleep on the sofa for 1 hour. This is probably at 4 to 5. Then at 5 o'clock, I would draw. I told myself, if I can draw every day for 1 year, if at the end of that I'm good enough to get an apprenticeship, this is what meant to happen. Because I couldn't draw. I had no artistic ability. And I did that, and I studied tattoo styles. I studied, everything I could. I followed all these art, I just got really ingrained in tattooing and the culture. 10 months later, after I first started drawing, I got an apprenticeship. Did that apprenticeship, moved to London, and I was tattooing. This story, okay, I guess the purpose of this story, I'm giving you a little bit of insight into the start of my career, but it's also to be like, this is all the stuff I had to do to be a tattooer of any regard, and I still didn't see myself like a real tattooer. So I did my apprenticeship. I apprenticed in this fucking shithole biker shop in Birmingham. I took what came through the door, and I didn't fucking complain. I cleaned, I served the customers, I shaved people, I put their stencils on, and that's what I did for a year. And I worked at a cafe where I was treated like doo-doo caca by a very strange family. And that cafe shut down, so reap what you sow. But yeah, so I moved to London. I offered tattoos for free out of my studio apartment in Golders Green, just because I had no client base. I'd never been to London before. I'd never lived there. I was new, completely new. So I started offering free tattoos. Some people came by and got some. Oh, funny enough, the first person I ever tattooed in London, Max, I still tattoo them now. They're an angel. Shout out to them. They have a bunch of tattoos from me over the years, and that's really cool to me that they're still a customer of mine today. Then I started offering £30 for as many tattoos as you want, just to cover my setup, needles, ink, so I could do more tattoos, and then I could get better. Then I rented a chair in a shop because I had customers and money. £800 a month, 4 days a week, and the days I wasn't there, it was someone else's. That shop was a bunch of bullshit, and it was run by a bunch of misogynistic dickheads who were selling their tattoos on Groupon and then trying to big time me. Again, you can't make this up. So I worked there for a while, left, put that money that I was giving them to get in a bigger apartment, worked there tirelessly, tattooed, made clothes. COVID, made clothes all throughout COVID. Then I started opening my tattoo shop. The day we came out of COVID, I opened my tattoo shop. First tattoo shop in London I had. Over the 3 years, I expanded the shop 3 times. So 4 shops in 3 years. And even when I was this big ass tattooer, booked and busy, massive tattoo shop, I got a feature written on me by Alt Press, Huffington Post, this, that and the other. People knew who I was. I would stand in this massive shop. I think it was like 2,600 square feet. Look around. Everything in that shop bought and paid for by yours truly. My name in lights, literally. And I was still like, yeah, but this isn't shit because I did it. If I did it, anyone can do it. A therapist of mine once said to me, you see no value in what you do because you see no value in yourself. I said, damn, bitch. You know what I mean? So, she didn't say much to me, that therapist, that really stuck. But when she said that, I was like, hang on, she's spitting right now. Hard to hear. True. I wouldn't say it's true anymore. This chair, I do see value in myself. Actually, I think I see a lot of value in myself. I think the issue with that was my previous relationship and getting into it so young, while my brain was literally still developing. I think if you ask my boyfriend now, he would never think that I'd see no value in myself. If anything, a little too much. No, that's not the case. But yeah, so that being said, I did all of this. I fucking grinded. I didn't have a day off for 3 years, bitch. I would be in New York on holiday, up at 5 a.m. buying a new desk for the tattoo shop. You know, I was always on London time. I was always on OK Space time. I was always on everyone's time but my own. But the thing is, if you want to do something, you want to do it well, especially when it's new, you just have to do it. Otherwise, what's the point? I'm a big believer if something's worth doing, it's worth doing well. If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And I don't take anything I do lightly. Why should you? You know? What's the point? You're expelling this energy. You can't get that shit back. Once it's done, it's done. So just do it properly. Or don't. What the fuck do I care what you do? The last day I was in my shop, when I decided I was going to close it and I was going to move on with my life, heavy on the my life, I was walking through the shop and it makes me feel emotional, actually. And right, enough of that gay shit. I was walking through the shop and I was like touching the walls and having a moment. If you don't know, when I decided to shut my shop, it was broken into. So I had to shut, and like we were robbed, and it was fucking atrocious. It was gnarly. So I ended up shutting like abruptly that day and just clearing it out and being like, by the way, when I shut my shop, I'd gone from like selling everything to try and recoup some money to being like, everything's free, just please come and take it. I can't bear to be here another minute. It's too traumatic. I just want to get out of here. This girl shows up and she goes, is this really all free? Bear in mind, she come from our Instagram post. This, we've been broken into. This is so awful. If you want anything, just come by and grab it. Shows up. Is this all free? Yeah, it's all free. This is the best day of my life. You dumb bitch. That's just something that always sticks with me. Anyway, I was walking around the shop and I was touching the walls and I was thinking like, thank you for everything. So ridiculous. Thank you for everything. Like, it's been amazing being here and having a moment with myself about the time spent and the emotion and the love and the stress of owning a tattoo shop, opening a tattoo shop at 25 in London with no fucking clue what you're doing. No friends or allies, and just rocking it out with your cock out. Yeah, just thinking like, wow, I can't believe I did that. And then I made the post saying like, shutting the shop and thanks for everything. And the comments, dude, incredible. 10 cents across the board. People were so incredibly nice. And that is something I'd say for the following that I've cultivated online. Small but mighty. Anytime I post anything personal, you guys fucking eat that shit up. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm always overwhelmed and so in awe of how kind and empathetic and sweet and understanding my little corner of the world has been and can be. And I feel sometimes I'm in that really sweet spot in life where I have a following that's just big enough that the only people that follow me is because they really like what I do or they like who I am as a person and they want to, follow along. And every now and again, something I make will slip into the greater internet, and I'm like, wow, you guys fucking suck, and I don't want anything to do with any of you. You don't get it, and you don't get me, and I don't want you to get me. I don't want to be understood by you, and I don't want to understand you. Leave me alone. The bravest thing I ever did was try and tell a joke on the internet, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, imposter syndrome, we're talking for 29 minutes. When I shut my shop, I was like, well, there's only one person I want to work for, because I don't want to work for a man, and I want to work for someone I can look up to, and that's Grace Neutral. So I had the sort of wherewithal within myself to know that I could work at this shop, Femme Fatale, world famous, incredible shop, incredible lights. I've never even met Grace before, but I knew she knew of me because we'd spoken briefly in the DMs. So I messaged like, hey, can I come and work there? And they were like, yeah. And I worked there, met Grace. Should have been one of my best friends. We went to New Zealand together last year, you know what I mean? And we did a convention, and we went to the beach, and she almost killed me on a jet ski. It's just like, it's the juxtaposition of it all. Like, I knew, look, I'm a good tattooer. I've owned this shop. If I ask Femme Fatale for a job, they'll give it to me. Why does my hand look so tiny? And I asked, and sure enough, I got it. And I remember when I met Grace being like, I'm actually intimidated by her. And there's no reason for that. She's not like an intimidating person. She's very kind. But it had been so long since I'd been in a room with anyone who I could look up to that I felt a bit like, oh shit, because I'd always been, like, over the last several years, the boss. So, you know, people told me they found me intimidating. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So when I met Grace, I was really uncomfortable in her presence, and I just couldn't get to know her, and she couldn't get to know me, because I was like, I'm not cool, man. Like, when I'm uncool, which is 90% of the time, I'm not cool at all. I'm a bit unbearable, actually. I remember every conversation I had with her, I was like, what the fuck are you going on about? Shut up. You're so annoying and unlikable, unfunny, and your clothes, trash. Your shoes, trash. Your flight stands, trash. That's me. And then one day I remember staying after work to talk to Grace, and we just clicked in this moment. We're having this chat, and and I don't know what happened. I think I just relaxed, unclenched, if you will, and we just started chatting. The rest is history. And there's been so many times that I've been in rooms with people that I just think are the coolest people in the world. And if you were to walk past the table that I'm sat at, you might think, yeah, this makes sense. This girl looks like she fits in there. I wouldn't pick her out of a crowd, you know what I mean? Like, what a bunch of cool guys. I never feel that way. I remember being at a dinner at Brighton Tattoo Convention 2 years ago, and I was at this dinner with all these incredibly talented tattooers from all over the world. And I was sitting next to this lady called Deej, put some stank on that. She's from LA, living in Texas. She was telling this story about her visiting Mexico and all this stuff, and I was just in awe of her. Like, she was telling this story, I remember just thinking, you are the coolest person I've ever met in my life. And for one reason or another, Deej took a bit of a shine to me. We became friends. I think she's so fucking cool. Like, and I just was like, me and you, chatting, getting on. Like, we're peas in a pod? No way. Can't happen. And there's been so many times since when I moved to London as well, that like I would walk past a hair salon and I'd be like, that's a fucking cool salon. I'd love to be the kind of person who gets my hair done there. And then I'd go there, get my hair done there, become a regular, become friends with the stylist. But when I do it, it's not cool because I did it. So if I did it, it doesn't mean shit. The problem with everything I do, or maybe the problem with imposter syndrome, is you have this idea of, like, in my opinion, I have this obsession with being cool. Fucking hell. Probably because I was so badly bullied growing up, and I was so uncool. Obviously, in hindsight, the shit I was into, that's fucking cool. But it wasn't back then. You know, it's assimilate. I think it's one of them where everything I do, everything I've ever seen and thought is so sick, so gnarly, and it must be unattainable to someone like me. I do it, and then it's fur coat and no knickers, isn't it? It's like, oh well, whatever. Like, it mustn't be that. There must be something else. I thought my blood vessel burst in my eye then. So it's just that you're always, you know, the carrot on the stick, dangling a plunger in front of your forehead. It's always cool until I do it. It's unattainable until I do it. It's impressive until I do it. It's success until I achieve it. And I am, as I say, perpetually, woefully unimpressed with myself. And if I do something that's good, I look at it for long enough, and I don't even mean physically look at it, I mean sit with it, think about it, listen to it. What were you thinking? That's a bunch of shite. But in the same breath, no one is a bigger fan of me than I am. You would not want to even know how many times I watched that YouTube video I posted yesterday, and I'm like, She's fucking spitting. True, though, true. Because, you know, what is life without risk? I am lucky enough to meet people on a semi regular basis that tell me things about myself that are incredibly kind. You know, you're so this, you're so that, you've got such a fat ass. No, that last one was a lie, but it is also true. And it's just, it always means something to me. But I know for a fact, if anyone said to me, "Are you okay, tattoos? You're a shit tattooer," I'd be like, "That's so true. Let them speak." That would stay with me. It would be my last words on my deathbed. But I am a shit tattooer. Because I think that we all have these fears that we carry. Or maybe not all. I think a lot of us have these fears that we carry that really, when it comes down to it, we ain't shit. And does it really matter? There's this interesting phenomenon I noticed a while ago where I'm going to make two sort of observations here. Obviously, the commodity of beauty. To be a woman is to never be free from the pressure of looking good while doing it. As I'm filming this video, the reason I'm filming in this direction is because I think this side of my face is better than the left side of my face. It's true. I noticed this thing when we're watching a true crime. People talk about their like deceased loved ones, and the first thing they always say is, "She was so beautiful," and they never say it about the men. They say it about women and children. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. What if you're not beautiful? And some people say everyone's beautiful. I don't think that's true, but I don't think it matters. You know what I mean? Like, what else? I always say, I'm on my soapbox. I say, I want the way I look to be the least interesting thing about me. I said that to a guy on a date once. He's like, "Well, you're doing a bad job." And I was like, I understand it's supposed to be a compliment, but shh. By the way, when I do that, that's just the inside of my nose. That's not a bogey. I think I've said the word bogey out loud for probably 15 years. It's just like, sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, you're the ugliest person who ever existed. And then I'll think, so what? I'll think, you look like what you look like, and that's just what it is. And other times I'll think I'm smoking, and that also doesn't matter. Sometimes I look at people who are like born with disfigurements and things, and I think some people would like kill to look like you, and all you want to do is look like someone else. But ultimately, that's not even true, because I've been in a situation throughout my life now where if I wanted to, I could have gotten work done. It has never been a priority of mine. I've never even had filler, Botox. I've never even had like a cosmetic like treatment. You know what I mean? And I think in the future I probably will get Botox or filler or something of some description, because I always think about like elevating the way I look, right? It's something I think about. It's a cross that I bear as a woman existing in the world and a woman online. But yeah, I think that ultimately I know for a fact that if 15-year-old me could see me now, they'd think I was cool and they'd think I was hot. I think realistically they'd be a bit unimpressed with my life, which is quite sad. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, and I'm not singing because I haven't got a very good singing voice. Although sometimes I think I do. It's 4 a.m. and my eyes can't seem to close. Was that good? Don't answer me. I want this video to not be super fucking depressing. I like it if it's a bit fun and a bit funny. And this took a turn I was not expecting. I didn't think I'd be getting so fucking deep about it. How could you possibly take me seriously when I have this fucking microphone in my hand? I quite enjoy making these videos, the two that I've made now, because I think sometimes it's just nice to just talk it out. Like, I live inside my head so much, and I think, like, does everyone feel this way? All I'm ever doing is thinking about things that more often than not just make me feel bad. I'm such a bad sleeper, because every hour or two I'm waking up and I feel I get such anxiety when I'm trying to sleep. I think because I feel out of step and not in tune with something, like I'm missing something. The FOMO I experience. Do you know why I think I have that? When I was a kid, my mum made me go to bed 1 hour earlier than my brother because I'm 3 years younger. I don't know. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that she did. But we lived in a bungalow, so I could always hear them, across the hall, having what always sounded like the best time ever, while I was lying in bed, not sleeping, and just feeling bad. I think I just figured out why I'm so fucked up trying to sleep. Because I just could always hear them having a great time. Sometimes they'd be eating. Don't get me started on my eating disorders. You don't want to know. And they just sound like that 1 hour that I was in bed, they came alive. It's probably not even true. It's probably just how I remember it. But that's how I remember it, and that's how I experienced it. So nowadays, when I'm going to bed, my boyfriend will put on an eye mask, say goodnight, roll over. What the fuck? I will get into bed. The TV's immediately on. The TV's up. Turn up to 11. The fan's on. And I'm on my phone. And it's only to the point where I'm like this. Can I finally be like, okay. And then I'll probably sleep for 2 hours. I'll wake up. Dick around. Sleep for an hour. Wake up. Sleep. Wake. Sleep, wake, sleep, wake, sleep, wake. And then my dog likes to sleep like in between my fucking legs. That's fine. That's his prerogative. I'm a terrible sleeper. I'm a runner. I'm a eater. I'm a man. I make my music on the run. You know what I mean? Imposter syndrome. I got it. Bad case of it. I don't know how you get rid of it. Maybe we all have it. I don't think that's true. I've met some people who I think they could use a little bit of it because they are fucking out of touch. They think they are something that they're really not. I'm not impressed with you, babe. Look at the state of you. Will I ever grow out of it? Is it something you grow out of? I'm 32. How much more growing up is there to do? Probably a lot. The person I am now, the person I was when I was 25, I wouldn't know if I met her in the street. Do you know what I mean? I would be like, what are you talking about? What's that expression? If a lion could speak English, you wouldn't be able to understand it because its reference points are so far from our own, you still couldn't understand it. The lion is me when I'm 25. I wouldn't understand her anxieties, her fears, her doubts, her worries. I'd be like, what are you going on about? I experienced it a tiny bit. My little sister, she has a lot of anxieties that I did have at her age. But now they're so far removed from me that I'm like, what? Why would you even worry about that? So I know when I'm older, 40, 50, I'll be like, I can't even relate to me at this age because I'm so far past it. And then I meet people who are like my parents' age who've just never outgrown a thing in their life. And I think it's the same way I feel about tattooers that have been tattooed for 20 years and they're doo-doo caca. And I'm like, how do you not one day just think, why did that line not look as good as it could have? Why did this line blow and that line didn't? I guess it's a lack of self-reflection. And all I fucking do is reflect upon myself in the harsh moonlight. And it's not cute, you know what I mean? But I think it's important, and I think that I used to be the kind of person who would leave every conversation I had, replaying it in my head, thinking about what I possibly could have said wrong, what I might have said weirdly, DMing the person after to apologise if I said anything out of pocket. Now I'm the kind of person who... Someone came up to me at Outbreak a few days ago and said, have you seen my friend? What the fuck? He looks like this, and I said no. He says, have you got any nicotine? And I said, no, bitch. He says, I'm just so cut up about my friend. I've been really worried. I said, yeah, you seem really distraught about it. Tell your story, walking pal. You can come up to me and say, hi, do you remember me? And I'll say no. Say what you mean what you say. I'm a big advocate for that. I'm not afraid of a little confrontation. In fact, I welcome it. Whereas me a couple of years ago, I should think of some anecdotes, but not right now. The levels I would go to appease people I didn't even really know, and at times strangers, The amount of discomfort I would put myself in, insane. Nowadays, no bitch. There is a real problem with people my age and younger. There's become an issue of you should not massively put yourself out for people who would not do that for you. You shouldn't accommodate people to your own detriment. But you should be willing to inconvenience yourself or change your plans or put yourself out there or be a little uncomfortable for the sake of a friend, or for the sake of a co-worker, for the sake of an acquaintance. If you think it's right, and if you think they'd do it for you, and if you think that they could use your help, or you have help to give. There is too much now of people being like, this doesn't serve me. I hate that expression. This doesn't serve me, so I'm letting it go. This doesn't serve me, so I'm not going to go. This doesn't serve me, so I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to donate. I'm not going to blah, blah, blah bullshit. Not everything in life exists to serve you or service you. Selflessness is not a character defect. It's actually really admirable. And you have to toe the line between looking after yourself and looking after other people. And they don't have to be of value to you. They don't have to be able to do something for you to want to do something for them. Or not even want to do it, but do it anyway. That's all I have to say. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm sorry this wasn't very funny. Hi Rachel, I forgot to say that.